still trying to do work for FlashWolves.
Well, you can see exactly where they're trying to attack. It's very hard to attack an Anivia, but if Maple can take Anivia back to base, then they would have a chance of pushing mid lane. Luckily for Origen, they picked an incredibly potent wave clear composition, which is kind of just a really good way to stall and let Anivia hit those late game power spikes, because even if Anivia cycles down, you still have Sivir, two of the best per position wave clears in League of Legends.
Looks like with the mid wave cleared away, and even though Darius and Anivia are back in base without teleports, a 3-man dragon attempt here for Origen. There aren't many good wards for the FlashWolves, and there's going to be no contest.
And this is usually where the FlashWolves trade a turret. Whenever a team goes for a dragon, they would switch to the other side of the map and get a tower, because they're so far behind in this game already. Soa's really waiting for NL, who's so far behind his opponent. FlashWolves cross-map, and Origen are just soaking a farm in every single lane, and that deficit is only going to get bigger for the FlashWolves here.
Jeez, look at that, the preemptive early chompers, and NL runs backwards. He is afraid of Soaz. Well, they are both flashless here. Should be totally safe for this Darius. FlashWolves are at least keeping up in farm. You look down the scoreboard right there, and actually NL, despite being 0-2, actually still has more farm than Niels. So the farm game is keeping it up. It's only an 1,800 gold game. That's actually not that big for what the scoreboard might have told you. FlashWolves have a fighting chance.
Problem is, though, that Maple has to look for these assassinations, and as we pointed out in Champs Select already, it is incredibly hard to kill somebody in one go. Maybe twice you can get them, but getting through the Anivia egg, getting through Spell Shield, getting through the Gragas and the Darius' health pools is just almost impossible for Maple right now, especially if Origen is putting decent vision on the left side and the right side, so they don't get surprised and get outmanned.
It's going to take a lot of time, and one of the favorite combos for FlashWolves during group stages was Maple nearly bursting someone to death, and then NL killing them with the Super Mega Death Rocket. So having NL in a deficit this early on in the game is so crucial as far as the win conditions go.
Meanwhile, Mithy taking up plenty of aggro, walking back safely, and a beautiful explosive cast pulls Karsa back into the team. It's actually FlashWolves losing the summoner spell.
Well, same with Mithy, though. He did
Ignite.
Use Ignite on the Karsa, which is kind of what prompted the flash.
Yeah, Mithy, this pick makes sense in the sense that Mithy, in the first 15 minutes, died 7 times in group stages overall, just trying to get that vision in. If you have Alistar, you can avoid a lot of these deaths by just popping your ultimate, so you can see it. He's very confident going in because he knows he always has a backup plan. He still has his ultimate available to do this again. And with a tanky Amazing nearby, they can just force the vision in and keep the game on their tempo.
Yeah.
What kind of moves can be made? Maple already wanted to make a play onto Mithy, not going to land the chain. Headbutt Pulverize got him underneath it. Spell Shield needs a Flame Chomper, nothing else done.
Yeah, so you can really see FlashWolves trying to shrink the map here. They have NL and Maple consistently in the mid lane. Now it's going to be on Origen, because Origen typically doesn't like playing shrinked maps, to 1-3-1 and draw the game away from FlashWolves with a Anivia wave clearing in the mid lane. The longer Origen can play this game, the larger their lead will become, because they're essentially able to farm all 3 waves, whereas FlashWolves is kind of only safely able to farm 2.
They are actually in a good position to do that, and now they actually have the vision to back themselves up in those positions. Usually, when we see Origen go for very early 1-3-1s, they lack the side lane vision, and that leads to a lot of their deaths in those side lanes. But this time, because they were ahead a little bit, Soaz has a trinket ward right there. So for 1 minute, at least he'll be relatively safe. But we need to see that backed up by more sidestone wards placed by the jungler and the support if they want to continue using this strategy.
And the thing is, Origen don't have a lot of those deep wards near the mid lane. That area can be collapsed upon fairly easily, actually. And you also got to watch the side lane matchups here. Sivir's not exactly a good one-on-one versus LeBlanc, but that's the matchup being had on that top side of the map. That's going to make it difficult for Niels to really push well.
Yep.
Yeah. Amazing did just pick up a Sightstone 14 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. On average, he's picked up his Sightstone at 14:50, which is the second slowest in the group stage. So even with this lead, you can still see the tendencies are staying fairly true for Origen. And if that is also true for the rest of the game, expect a lot of split pushing and hopefully better warding for Origen, because as Krepo mentioned, that has been how they have made mistakes, is they're trying to draw the game to the outskirts, but they are getting punished pretty heavily for it. With a lot of their death coming over in those sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Niels sidestepping some more. Pink ward and green ward traded there. You got to see a second ago that top lane was being pushed by Maple first, and then Niels had to collect that wave. So top lane, up until the team roamed up to cover this Sivir, Maple was getting the push lead there. And the game has stalled out. The same gold lead has kind of remained stagnant now.
Mostly due to the matchup in the bot lane. Even with an advantage gained by teleport, Soaz can't push it home because he's still in a counter matchup. And as the game goes on, especially say 15 to 25 minutes, that matchup gets the most pronounced because that's when Gnar starts picking up these items like that frozen mallet and he can keep his opponent at bay.
That was exactly the item power spike I was going to talk about, and he completes it right now. So you can actually see because of this, Origen is starting to group up more towards the mid lane, and they're trying to force it onto FlashWolves a little bit. I will say that FlashWolves, we made the joke about Stake absorbing in the top lane because he can take a losing matchup and not make it matter that much. FlashWolves as a team has probably been the best absorbing team at Worlds because they've had to play against so many teams who have beaten them in the early game. Both games against the Ku Tigers. Ku Tigers had immense pressure, and FlashWolves has been able to take these little micro sacrifices to get them to a point in which they can reach power, and that frozen mallet for Stake is when they start winning the split push war and is their window back into this game.
Yeah, the FlashWolves are actually comfortable being this much gold behind because they only led once at 10 minutes, and that was only a 66 gold lead. And then at 20 minutes, they're usually behind. They've only led like twice in the group stages. So if this doesn't get too bad right now, they're actually comfortable playing this game. Just keep your eyes on NL, his positioning with the help from Sword Art, if they can turn a fight, mostly around the dragon. An objective that Origen actually doesn't like fighting around too much.
It's true. Oh, we speak about avians, you know, with dragons running around and Nivea and whatnot. I want to point out.
Speak about avians?
We're now speaking about
avians.
avians.
We are now speaking about avians.
Avians is the topic.
Yes. I want to speak about a really quick mechanical thing that Pekka does not know about. When you deactivate Glacial Storm, it actually does an extra tick of damage. Then you can use that to last hit, do a minor bit of burst. Pekka doesn't know about this. He's actually waiting until the Glacial Storm regular tick damage kills minions, then deactivates it, and actually wastes a little bit of mana doing that.
I did not know about this.
I got it about 6 months ago. Meanwhile, top lane fight, Soaz feeling good about basketballs, orbiting his opponent, but Carson now showing up as well, and it's going to be quite hard for the Darius. Manages to land one tick of the heel, but Sword Art out to land the ulti, and Stakes in there as well. The entire team is top lane as punishment for Origen taking a dragon.
That is a lot of people in the top lane, and once again, this is an example of a very small sacrifice Origen makes, the second dragon, as a window to get back in the game, because if they can now use that pressure to take the top lane turret, they'd be even in gold. But Peke, with some nice cross-mapping, keeps the pressure up in the mid lane.
That's a good wall, but they don't go. NL's alone down under that turret. Amazing doesn't go for the dive.
And this is something we've seen from Origen. They play the map open, and if you hit them somewhere in the top lane, they will take something from you in the bot lane. The problem is they don't predict the play from FlashWolves here very well. Soaz could have backed off if he didn't have the vision. He could have respected the vigilant more and just taken the free dragon. But Origen, very often they want too much, and they end up getting punished somewhere on the map.
And it ends up being a trade of turrets. Top lane outer goes down thanks to the FlashWolves gank. The Origen persistence in the mid lane knocks one down for themselves. We do have a late tier coming out for Peke, so he is still planning on scaling up quite slowly. That is a recent tier, by the way. Rod of Ages was first and is nearly completed.
It's not super, like it is around 200 stacks, so once he's able to upgrade it, he'll get it, but yeah, 200 tiers at 19 minutes out of 750 is really, really slow. But we mentioned earlier, average game times. FlashWolves average 41 minutes, 53 seconds. Origen, 42 minutes, 24 seconds. The 16th and 15th slowest teams at Worlds thus far. So I think he's going to have the time to let it complete.
So what you're telling me, Jad, is a 30-minute Rod of Ages is okay in this matchup?
It'll max out if you're playing it off
Well,
statistics.
he already has the Rod of Ages. But yeah.
Well, yeah. They stack. There's almost no unique passes in that item. 6th row of the dream.
Overall, we saw a very explosive opening of the game with NL and Sword Art going aggressive and getting punished twice, one by an outplayed, second time by teleports. But as we've been talking on a little bit, the game has been stale. As I say that, we may see some action though.
Flash, headbutt, pulverize comes in, Maple goes back in! Whoa, the massive outplay, jumps back, Juke Smithy, there's nothing else to do. Beautiful by the FlashWolves mid laner.
In case you didn't notice, Maple is really good at LeBlanc. Basically, 2v1s right there. Mithy landed the CC, but is like, well, what do I do? My AD carry's not close enough to follow up with anything. Niels dies in the side lane yet again. So Origen honestly needs to shrink this game down a little bit. FlashWolves is killing them in the top and bottom lane. And Origen needs to work around the Anivia and the team fighting that they have built up in their composition.
Origen just need to improve their warding right now. It was really good at one point, and that's very often when they place all these trinket wards down, because Origen have a tendency to place a lot more trinket wards as opposed to just sight wards. But then once that vision drops, they find themselves in the dark with no really follow-up play, and that's exactly what's happening right now too. They're not making much plays with vision, and then Niels gets caught here. He can disengage, but they want the outplay.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the chain landed as Mithy engaged is really what sentenced Niels to death right there, and he used the spell shield earlier on. That's now the second time Origen has died in either the top or the bottom lane. In the group stages, as far as where the teams had their deaths, it was a really cool stylistic difference. FlashWolves only suffered 5 deaths in the top or bottom lane as far as positions on the map, but Origen had died 29 times there. It feels like Origen is continuing to push these sides and look, usually suffering some casualties.
FlashWolves finding it yet again, but there is double teleport spell shields. The first distortion trying to get away. A bunch of blinds come through, and here comes everybody. Peke trying to get away from this one. Karsa half health. Knockup comes through, but it doesn't do all that much for him. Niels forced to run and hide. He's almost out of health there. Soaz in the front lines. Forced to run for the Rockets. The zap hits Soaz though, which means Maple can come in for the chain. Soaz will be rooted for another couple of seconds. Here comes the team. Snake! Oh dear! Poaches an egg as Peke goes down, and FlashWolves take the kill lead.
And that's so punishing for Origen because they expended both of their teleports to try and salvage that play and got a negative result off of that. FlashWolves has persisted to this point, and they look to take the lead with this turret kill.
But what a fantastic way of using distortion and mimic distortion there from Maple. He passed over Baron into the jungle, doesn't get spotted. Over the Crux, he gets behind Niels. Niels only starts running once he sees Karsa coming out. And because Origens have this spread out playstyle when they use the teleports to collapse, Amazing was actually still in the mid lane. NL was way ahead of that play. He joined, and once he joined, he turned around the tides in that fight. So FlashWolves, they're planning their plays together. Origen are reacting with teleports, but sometimes you just gotta bail out and sacrifice one guy.
Yeah, I love what Maple's been doing. Moving through the shadows and creating plays for FlashWolves instead of waiting for Origen to split push them to death. Again, Niels was out of this fight before it really began. And Peke had to use his flash defensively because they both teleported in on the same ward.
And Origen, they feel strong, but they don't know that Amazing's in the mid lane. Poor communication. And Nell comes in. He wasn't spotted anywhere on the map, and yeah, he's going to turn on his fight. And look at the spacing from Maple too. Staying out of Darius' Q range. Stake now realizes that they actually killed Soaz already, so he doesn't need to use his ultimate to secure Soaz. And then he just hops onto Peke. Peke trying to peel. So these little minor outplays here from Stake, just adapting during the fight. At first he goes in for Soaz, realizes that kill's already produced. Then he switches to Peke. FlashWolves pick up 2 kills.
And I want to highlight something that Minor Krista talked about on PTL this week about FlashWolves sort of playing to their opponents, playing to level them, playing almost a style that works well. Origen love to play these side lane pushes, this 1-3-1. Soaz got counterpicked by Stake. Niels on Sivir is never going to survive against LeBlanc, and Anivia's not exactly a great side lane pusher. They're not even the right champions for a 1-3-1 style from Origen here. FlashWolves have matchups for all of them.
Yep. FlashWolves has been so good at reacting to their opponents. Sometimes you can use that as a negative because, you know, they're waiting for the other team to expose themselves. But basically, Origen has been exposing themselves in those side lanes, and that's where FlashWolves has been able to capitalize. This game may actually hinge near this next Dragon fight because instead of the picks being plentiful for FlashWolves with solo people off, they are now grouped up with an Anivia around an objective. Will FlashWolves give up Dragon number 3, or will they actually try and fight this one?
We keep talking about how Origen's style is 1-3-1, but a case can definitely be made to just spread open the map and then collapse with the Sivir and then use that movement speed advantage to make a pick or an engage or a siege somewhere. Because if you look at this composition, a lot of the issues Alistar and Darius face in these fights is getting to their targets. Sivir solves that immediately for you, and then you can really play out these good zone control team fights with Anivia. So they have the tools to turn around a fight, catch out NL. But he's proven to be very position-based AD carry, so definitely interesting to see if this plays out.
And as much as we talk about FlashWolves being a sort of reactive team, they've made a lot of proactive picks. Origen haven't gone for sieges or fights or much of anything, but Maple continually opens the map back up. Dragon's been up for almost a minute. Origen trying one more time to take it.
I feel like Maple's been doing most of the work. He has been the one working in the shadows, and he has been the one split pushing for the team.
fails.
Backwards chain is not the best way to start this, but they do have Anivia zoned out. This could be a fight.
Attempt of steal for Carson will not happen. Sorted down a half health. Black shields himself, so Maple goes in. Chain's only Mithy. He could re-engage his pops the ulti and flashes to leave headbutts Amini to go out as well. Sivert was already popped and is timed out, and now Stake will look for a slow. One auto attack would slow Chain Mithy. They're gonna go for this one. The Chain will land headbutt. It won't create enough distance, and that will be a kill for NL with the Super Mega Death Rocket.
And on the topic of controlling this split push that OG does, Rek'Sai is a fantastic pick because you can make your jungler an impromptu wave clear on the other side of the map and just ulti him in. Karsa came in with the tunnel, joined the fight, and once Origen was disrupted, they were too afraid to fight. They felt a need to regroup. And then FlashWolves gap closes and range CC punished them.
Well, specifically in that fight, Peke was trapped in the mid lane because the push was being threatened while Origen was able to get the Dragon. So I actually think they got a decent amount of value picking up Dragon number 3 and only having the one casualty in the Alistar. I think is an acceptable cost for Origen in the long run. Even so, it does appear that they've kind of lost control of this game, and now their win condition really is more centralized. They need to be able to take Dragon 4 and 5, as well as try and control Fog of War around Baron, of which Origen has really poor ward coverage where they need it right now.